Hello there, and welcome to the What the What podcast. Podcast about nothing, but also about all the things. I'm Dave Johnson, but you can call me DJ. I'm a pop culture fan, Star Wars fanatic, a lover of music, video games, and sports, a slight sneakerhead, and a self-professed foodie. I'm just a normal guy talking about the things I find interesting. So welcome back for those of you that have showed up. Welcome to the pod. This is episode 3. We're going to title this one, What's My Age Again? For reasons I'll talk about in a second. So lots of things going on. I want to thank everyone that listened. Looks like we got about 65 downloads, probably about 30 to 35 individual listeners. So I just want to thank everybody who's been listening to keep it up and to pass the word on for me. If you really like the podcast, you're actually really interested, let people know what's going on. So this week, I want to send a special shout out to my girl, Ariana, childhood friend, one of my oldest and dearest friends, sent me a little email, gave me a nice little note about the podcast. And she also gave me the idea for the top 6 we're going to do at the end of the podcast. So shout out to Ariana. Miss you, kid. So here we go. So you'll see this week, we've changed some things up. I've actually, it was sitting in front of me the whole time. I do lots of different segments on the show. We're going to keep that going for now. But I gave them all names, and they had weird names, and I realized just keep up with the theme of the pod. It's the What the What podcast. So every pod episode is going to have a what something title, and we're going to name the segments What's Something, WHUT. That's the name of the game. We spell it wrong because it's fun to do. So right now, the first segment of it is going to always be the What's Up With My Life. So what's up with life? Life is pretty good. The podcast has been fun. I've been doing every 2 weeks, but I think I'm going to change that up and do it once a week, I think. A little late today getting things going, but there were reasons. The real job got in the way, but that's all good. That's what the real job is there for. But the big thing that happened was a big birthday. So this past Friday, I turned the big 4, if you will. Middle age is a real deal right now. Had a good time. Thanks to the wife and kid, and the sister-in-law, my niece and nephews. They were fantastic. Really, really enjoying things with them. Had a good time. The wife took me, got some cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory because that's what I wanted. We walked around a little bit. Actually got out and did some stuff. Came home, chilled. Got me some really great gifts, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. But more importantly, got me some liquor, which I do just to enjoy the adult beverages. So my wife's fantastic. My kid's fantastic. They made me feel good on my special day. As usual, you get all the thank yous and the happy birthdays from your friends on Facebook, and got lots of those. And so it felt appreciated. So it's, you don't get to see everybody that often, especially in the pandemic. But really felt cool. Took the day off of work, hung out, and so I appreciate everybody. So I definitely, for those of you listening, those of you that let me know what's going on, I appreciate you. Thank you. I really do mean it, for real. So next segment, what's new in sports? So again, WHUT, what's new in sports? So it's spring training time. So I love baseball, Red Sox and Pirates fan. Spring training is happening. They're actually playing games. So been watching some baseball here now. I like when nothing else is going on. I like having baseball on at my house. Don't necessarily like to watch the game the whole time. It gets full because it's there, and I do like to watch. It's just a great thing to zone out to, take a nap to sometimes. If I'm on my phone doing whatever, messing around with music, baseball is there. So I love it. And I like to watch too, for sure. So I'm happy about baseball coming back for real this time, if you will. Hope to get some games for me. That means Durham Bull games is the closest thing for me that I get to see for sure. Or Carolina Mudcat games, so minor league, which I do appreciate. And then we'll see if we get to go see any games this year anywhere for the pros. So I miss going to Pirates games. So Pirates fans, when you get to go, those that are listening, have a hot dog for me, if you wouldn't mind, for sure. March Madness is coming. I love March Madness. It's the only basketball I really pay attention to. Apparently, the All-Star break happened recently. I didn't really pay attention to the NBA, but March Madness is coming. We're going to have a tournament this year. which is awesome. West Virginia University, my alma mater, is actually looking good. Should get a decent seed and has a legitimate run at a Final Four. So we'll see what happens. We will keep tabs on that. We'll do my bracket breakdown probably whenever the brackets come out, and I'll give you guys some of my picks. I think that might be a little bit interesting for you. Maybe, I don't know. My picks can be crazy, and we'll have fun with that. So yeah, sports is starting to pick up again. March Madness and baseball are things that I do enjoy, so I'm pretty excited about that. Hell yeah. Next up, what's happening in the ring, the wrestling wrap-up, if you will. Big news for those of you that care. Bobby Lashley is the world champion. It's super exciting. Bobby Lashley has been around for a while. Something that I do find interesting. 16 years wrestling. His first championship, his first world championship, WWE champion. So that's pretty cool for those of us that pay attention to wrestling. So I wanted to give Bobby a shout out. I know he's not listening, but just wanted to acknowledge the greatness that is there. So fantastic for him. Hopefully he hangs on to that for a while. It's and makes it to WrestleMania for those of you that, again, you can block this part out if you want to. So moving on for the segments. Now, usually we would do the what am I playing segment right here. What kind of video games am I playing? But really nothing's changed. I'm still just playing Call of Duty. Still just playing Animal Crossing. I'm going to probably want to get off the pod here. Going to go hang with my boys with the crew, play a little bit of Call of Duty again. And so that's really all that's going on as far as what am I playing. More importantly, in the next segment, what am I watching? So many good things going on TV right now, both streaming for movies and for shows. WandaVision on Disney Plus. The finale just happened. Oh, worth it. Worth the slow build as the show has been doing. What a fantastic show. Just something different. A lot of payoff for those of us that are big Marvel fans from the movies and the comic books. Those of us nerds like myself that are familiar with Scarlet Witch from the comics got a big payoff for sure. So hopefully you're getting into it. So it's going to be, it was great. I highly recommend it. It leads up to a lot of things coming up in the new movies. So WandaVision, 17 thumbs up. Can't wait for the Winter Soldier and Falcon coming up next. Going to be really into that as well, whatever it's called for sure. What else am I watching? Really cool show. You guys know I'm half Italian. I take that side of my family very seriously, obviously. Stanley Tucci, Searching for Italy on CNN, of all things, is a really interesting show. Stanley Tucci, who is a national treasure, traveling around Italy, learning about food and history. What a great show for me. Really interesting if you're into that kind of thing. Highly recommend it if you want to learn a little bit about food in Italy and history of Italy as well. Great show. Highly recommend it. Movies. The Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell documentary on Netflix. 17 thumbs up as well. Love Biggie. Really, really good. Well done. New take on things. Valletta Wallace was involved. Great if you want to get into that. And finally, watched Coming to America, the second Coming to America movie. Oh, man. Let me tell you, hilarious. Big payoff for those of us that have been watching Coming to America for forever, that love the old movie. The original was still better, obviously, but this movie was for those of us that love the first movie. Same jokes. They brought them in there the right way. Hilarious characters. If you didn't watch all the way to the end past the credits, there are post credits and mid credits and John Legend singing Queen to Be, and I mean it's just fantastic. So highly recommend Coming to America. It's not the first movie, but it's got all those good old jokes in there. Well worth it. Well done. Loved it. Totally enjoyed it. Well worth it. So that's it for what I'm watching. Watching lots of stuff these days. So we will keep that trend going for sure. At this point, sometimes is the what am I reading is the segment we're going to do. Right now, I'm still reading the Star Wars from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back version. So that's still going on, but lots of books in the holster, if you will. So I won't do this every segment with the reading, but when I finish a book, I'll talk about it. Let you know what I think for sure. So speaking of Star Wars, the Star Wars briefing is a thing that I said that I would do every episode. So there's really not a lot going on Star Wars these days. Nothing's going to happen until the end of the year as far as movies go. There's really some books that are on. Again, I said in my holster, I'm going to be reading the new books, but nothing too serious going on Star Wars. However, this will transition us into what am I collecting? A new segment, so I can get to talk about my silly other hobby. You guys know I have lots of different hobbies, and one of those hobbies is I do collect some toys because I'm a big nerd and because I can. And I primarily collect Funko Pops. I think that they're fun. They get to show you different types of pop culture that you're into. And I collect some Star Wars figures. So the Star Wars rotates in. My son found me a Mace Windu figure, 6-inch Black Series figure, for those that are into that kind of thing, that I never thought I'd have. He got it for me for my birthday. So thank you, Parker. What a fantastic gift. Never thought I'd have a Mace Windu figure. You can't find them, so I'm down with it, and I appreciated that. Also, my wife, when it comes to Funko Pops, she found me a new Biggie Pop, which is really cool, and a Jam Master J Pop. So the thing about Funko Pops, if you're not aware of them, they're these silly looking things, not too big, not too small, little. Some of them are bobbleheads. Some you can find them at Target or Walmart or wherever, and they have all the things. They have all the pop culture, all the movies, sports, all the things, music, and it's just a fun way to show the things you collect. I have so many of them at my office, at the house. It's a fun thing to collect. They're like $10, and it's just, again, if you like to collect things, I keep telling you, I got silly hobbies. Really had fun with this one. So, thanks again to the wife and kid for the birthday gifts. Really appreciate that. So a little bit of discussion about the things that I'm collecting. So speaking of collecting, we get into the shoes. And so what am I wearing? What sneaker am I wearing right now? Last week I talked about the Adidas Young. And this week it kind of started me collecting shoes again. And this week I want to talk about the Adidas End Court High Top. I found this one at DSW online. Got a great deal on it. And it is a all white high top, green stripes and accents, gum bottom. It's hot. I'll be posting a picture of the shoe. Some of you are seeing this on my Instagram, but I got a new Instagram for the pod. It's at Whut Pod, so at WHUTPOD, at Whut Pod. And that's where I'm going to post the pictures of the sneakers that I'm buying or other things I talk about. We're going to post them on that Instagram. So get the message out, follow the gram, listen to the pod, all that fun stuff. But I want to be able to you guys visualize some of the things that I talk about on the podcast. So I'm going to put that out there for you all on there. So these End Courts, man, I really liked them. These two shoes kind of just reinvigorated me when it comes to collecting shoes again. And this one was just old school. It's old school. I call them like the Bill Russells, right? They're, just fresh white, Celtic green stripes and the gum bottoms. I haven't had high tops in forever. I actually got to wear them out the other day because it was sunny out finally. Love the look on them. It just really got me back into loving shoes and wearing shoes again. And I'm just really having fun with it. So it's probably going to be problematic. The wife has already threatened me to not get out of hand, if you will, with the shoes. I have a lot of hobbies. Like to collect a lot of things. Don't have that much money, so I do need to be careful. But this shoe is cool. So let me know what you think on the pod, if you appreciate it or not. On the gram, I mean. But I just wanted to start talking about that. And if you have a sneaker that I need to check out, let me know. We'll put it on the Instagram as well. If you got a sneaker to recommend, if you get something fresh and new that you want to check out or let people know about, show it off. Tag me in it. I'll post it on the site. I'll repost it on Instagram if I can figure out how to do that. But yeah, man, I think again, some of us are sneakerheads. I know my girl T, she's out there. I know she loves sneakers and she's down. I got lots of other friends that are. So for sure, let's get it going and keep it going with the sneakers. But I got myself a problem already. I found some more this week, and we'll talk about them in the next episode. And then I'll start bringing up some of my old classics. So if I don't purchase a new shoe, because it's not going to be like that every week for sure, I'm going to bring out one that I have that I've kept fresh in the closet. I got a couple pairs I want to talk about. And I might go back and talk about shoes that I loved in the past that I'm kind of looking for or hunting for that I used to own. Kind of talking about some of my favorite old school shoes. And again, I'd love to hear from you about what you thought. So hit me up on the gram at whatpod. And also don't forget about the email, whatpod@gmail.com for sure. So we talk about all the collecting, all the reading, all the TV. Let's move on to some food, right? So DJ Cooks What is this segment. So what am I cooking? What am I making? And this one comes out of a request from a Facebook post and an Instagram post I did a couple weeks ago. And some of you are going to think it's crazy. Some of you are going to think it's real gross. And you'll be like, Dave, what are you doing? Come on, DJ, what's happening here? But this one's about nostalgia, and this one's about my mom. And the name of this recipe is hot dog soup. Yes, sir. It's exactly what I said it is. It's hot dog soup. This was a thing for my mom when I was a kid that she made for us in an attempt to get us kids to eat vegetables. Now, these days I'll eat pretty much whatever you put in front of me. But back in the day, you never know. So when we were kids, my mom came up with hot dog soup. And I'm going to give you this recipe. And it sounds crazy. And when I tell some people about it, they're like, that's disgusting. But when I tell others about it, they're like, that sounds amazing. What's the recipe? Now, if you don't know, me, myself, my mom, my family, we don't really do recipes. We do recommendations. So recipes might tell us what's in it. And we may have some recipes for baking. That's different. Baking is a science. That's a little bit different than that. But for the most part, we just know what goes in it. And then it's all to taste. So here's what's hot dog is in hot dog soup. Get yourself a pack of hot dogs. You don't need a whole 8-pack. 4 hot dogs will do. I highly recommend Ballpark, Frank's, not all beef. All beef hot dogs are gross and disgusting, and we can debate that all day long. If you're going to eat a hot dog, you eat whatever's in hot dogs, right? So I recommend Ballpark, all beef Frank's. You can get the bun size or not. It doesn't really matter. You get yourself some potatoes, whatever potatoes you want. It can be golden. It can be purple. It can be red. It can be russet potatoes, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't really matter. Get you some potatoes. You need a package of frozen green beans. You can get fresh green beans if you want. You need some chicken stock. You need an 8-ounce can of tomato paste and an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, right? And that's all you need. And then it's salt and pepper and seasoning to taste, whatever seasoning you like. You get yourself a nice stock pot. I, of course, am going to recommend my handy dandy Dutch oven, cast iron enameled, if you will. You cut up your potatoes however much you want, dice them up pretty good to bite size, put them in the pot, and then you pretty much just cover them with water. So a little bit more than the potatoes. Cover them a little bit over that, and you cook your potatoes. You boil them up, let them cook 15, 20 minutes till they're till they're pretty cooked up. And then you leave it in there, and then you start adding your other ingredients. First, you want to add a little bit of chicken stock, just to as needed, and then you're going to add your green beans, and then you're going to add your tomato sauce, and then you're going to add your tomato paste, and then you're going to cut up your hot dogs into slices. You're going to add those into the pot, and then you're going to season it as you want. You're going to season with Italian seasoning or garlic or whatever it is that you want for season-wise. Put all that in there. You should get like a nice, really tomato-basy soup. You can make it as thick or as thin as you want it to be. And that's it. And it takes about 30 minutes, maybe. Cook it as long as you want to whatever tenderness you want your taters and green beans and whatever else to be. Then that's it, man. And you have hot dog soup. And it is so simple and so delicious and so comforting. I can't really explain it. My mom made this for my father and mother-in-law. One day they were just kind of running through, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law couldn't get enough of it. They couldn't believe how delicious it was. My wife, my mom made it one time when we were visiting. when we were early on in our relationship, and my wife was like, "What is this madness that is so delicious?" So hot dog soup, and it's a thing that I'll make in the fall or the wintertime when it's chilly. I made a batch, like I said, a couple weeks ago, posted it on my Instagram, and people were like, what is this? Or give me the recipe. And that's it, folks. That's the recipe. So I will put the picture of it again on the Instagram at WhatPod, with a little bit of the recipe in there as well, so that I can pass it out to the world. But again, this one goes out to my mom. This is my mom's recipe, as so many things that I do are. It's nostalgic. It's from my childhood. It makes me happy when I make it. Reminds me of my mother, she's my heart. And so I hope it does something for you as well. So share with me your recipes, if you will. Hit me up on the email, whatpod@gmail.com. Tell me what your favorite nostalgic recipe is. And share it if you will. I'll make it. If you share a recipe with me, I'll make an attempt at making it and pop it up on the gram, and I'll even talk about it on the podcast if it was something that I made successfully and then I enjoyed. So please share your recipes with me. I would appreciate it for sure. All right, so little nostalgia. I'm feeling pretty happy now. Thinking about my mom's. So let's move on to. We talked about what I'm eating. So now, what am I drinking? And I'm not talking about Gatorade. I'm talking about adult beverages. And right now, we're talking about whiskeys. I got some whiskeys for my birthday. My wife loves to take care of me. She knows that I like to partake in modesty, right? So this week I want to talk about Four Roses yellow label. It's Four Roses kind of bottom label. Four Roses Whiskey Man is a bourbon. It is, oh my God, it's so good. Their small batch and their single barrel are probably two of the best whiskeys I've ever had. But for just a sipping or cocktail whiskey, I highly recommend getting Four Roses yellow label. $20 to $25, something like that. And it's just a great whiskey. You can sip it on ice. You can make a cocktail with your old fashions with it. You can make some Belvederes, which is kind of the bourbon Negroni, if you will. But for me, as usual, I like it with a little bit of bitters, a big ice cube, 2 to 3 ounces of bourbon. That's how I live, and it's a good one. So the next one I'm going to talk about is one I picked up. It's called Quiet Man Irish Whiskey. So you'll learn that I just like to try new bourbons and new whiskeys. I like to try stuff to see what I like. I have some go-tos that I keep around, but I like to try new things. And Quiet Man Irish Whiskey, man, was I surprised. It was on sale at my local ABC. It was $5 off, so it was like $25. And again, I don't have a lot of money, so I spend some money here and there when I can. But I always give something a shot. Man, this whiskey, and I'm a Jameson guy, right? I'm straight up, I love Jameson and Irish whiskey. Quiet Man Irish Whiskey was and is delicious. I like a little smoky, peaty flavor to my whiskeys. And man, this one had just a little hint of that smoke, of that peat that I just thoroughly enjoyed. Just a little bit on ice. And when this podcast is over, I'm going to go make me one, because just thinking of talking about it it's got me thirsty, if you know what I'm saying. So if you can get you some Quiet Man Irish whiskey, they have an 8-year and then their unyeared batch. Try it out. I got the non-year. So I don't know what the age is, but Quiet Man Irish Whiskey, highly recommended by DJ, if you will, and the What podcast. If they want me to sponsor, they can just let me know, and we can bring that immediately for sure. What am I listening to? Next segment, you know me, I love my music. Music is important to me. One-time DJ, as we've talked about before, so I always want to kind of talk to you a little bit about music, what I'm listening to. So a couple of different things this week, past couple of weeks. First, I'm always going to recommend what station you should try out on your Spotify or on your Amazon, whatever it is you listen to. Tell Alexa to play the Outkast station for you. If you want to just kind of hit yourself in a little bit of the 90s, maybe early 2000s, it's going to hit you. It's going to treat you right. You're going to have a good time. You're going to chill. You're going to dance a little bit. It's going to be, it's a good station to do your thing. If you want to just have a good time, if you're having some people over, if you're outside chilling, before you go out, after you come back, Outcast Station. Highly recommend it. My girl Ariana recommended in her email to me again. This show's got a lot of Ariana in it. You'll see. Snow Allegra. SNOH. First name, last name Allegra. AALEGRA. Really smooth, cool R&B. Kind of put me in the mind of like Alicia Keys mixed with D'Angelo, mixed with HER, mixed with SZA. Really enjoyed what I listened to. So shout out to Ariana for a fantastic music recommendation. And finally, because I've been listening and because I just watched the documentary, I listened to Ready to Die and Life After Death, Notorious B.I.G.'s albums. And if you haven't listened to those in a while, pick them up, put them in, listen. Great albums. Fantastic music. Most people might even be more familiar with Life After Death, but Ready to Die is a classic. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. Just understanding Biggie and what he can do lyrically, and then you bring in Puff and his interesting things with his beats. Loved it. Fantastic. Still good listen. I'm always going to come back and listen to my 90s hip-hop and R&B when I need to, and that one was worth a listen. So that's my recommendation for this week. And so that brings us to the best part of the podcast, the What top 6 of the week or weeks or whatever time we're at. So the What top 6 this week, again, comes from a recommendation from my girl, Ariana. And she said, DJ, let's talk about the 90s and what the best trends were. And I thought it was a fantastic idea. I had some fun with it. So what I came up with here is the top 6 clothing trends to come out of the 90s. And we're going to start off with number 6. And this is from all my old heads, from my 90s babies that came up in the 90s, high school and college. The first thing I want to talk about is hypercolor. Y'all remember hypercolor? Those silly ass shirts, when you touch them, they change color. People used to touch you because you would change color. It was a little inappropriate maybe back in the day, but you had to have at least one hypercolor shirt. The technology was new. Now it's not even that big of a deal, but we had fun with it. So number 6, hypercolor shirts. Number 5, I'm going to call urban brands. So when I say urban brands in the 90s, I'm talking about Karl Kani and Cross Colors and Fat Farm and FUBU, right? Everybody had something from those brands. Wherever you got it from, whether you got it from the department store, or if you know what Gabe's is, you got it from Gabe's or from Marshall's or whatever. Everybody had to have one or two of those brands, the urban brands. And there was lots of different ones. I think Lugs was out there doing their thing. Like there was all these things. My biggest thing, pretty much, I had some Cross Colors in the 90s. Boy, when I was in high school, I had that pair of, red baggy cross colored jeans. If you knew me in high school, you probably remember this. Or orange. I had a pair, and I'm talking orange. Like no bowl, like an orange jeans. Baggy as hell, cross colors, orange jeans. I love those things. Loved them, right? College, we started wearing some FUBU and some Fat Farm, but urban brands, I thought it was fun. They kind of went away now. I know they're still around, but they were the fad back then for sure. Number 4 is Guess jeans. You wasn't nobody if you didn't have at least a pair of Guess jeans in whatever color. There was the stone wash and the acid wash and the straight blues and the dark blues, but the ladies had the white Guess jeans. When I was in high school, somebody had those white Guess jeans. You know who you are. I remember, right? Guess jeans. Had to have some Guess jeans. There were some other jeans too, right? Z Cavaricci's or whatever, but Guess jeans were where it was at. Number 3, I'm going to call the designer wear. We're talking about Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, and Nautica. You were wearing a polo shirt, you were wearing your polo shirt, or your Nautica polo shirt, or you had some Tommy Hilfiger with all the colors on it, or the flag or something like that. All that stuff came out of the 90s. We were all rocking big, baggy Tommy Hilfiger t-shirts. You had again your polo or your Nautica wear. You had some jeans that might have been Nautica, whatever. And then they had cologne too, right? You had your polo cologne, your Cool Water, right? You had Nautica cologne. I personally rocked the Tommy. So again, if you knew me in high school, you knew I was wearing some Tommy. That was what I was wearing. Number 2 is the team gear, right? And by team gear, I mean you were rocking, whether it was your favorite team or some other team, and it was champion and it was starter, right? You had your champion jerseys with whoever you had on there. I know I still got mine. I got a Jordan jersey. I got my Larry Johnson Grandmama jersey. You know, I had my Penny Hardaway USA champion jersey. You had all those things. But then you had your starter jackets. Everybody had the starter jacket, the pullover starter jacket with your squad, with your team. I had a Falcons one because I was a big Deion Sanders fan. Everybody was rocking a starter jacket. You had the pullover with the hoodie. Some people had the zip up. Then you had your starter cap. Remember the starter cap, the snapback starter cap with the S on it? Now starters, they carry starter at Walmart now, man, which it is what it is. It was cool back then. We appreciate it. We loved it. But everybody had the starter jacket. Wherever you got it from, you tried to get the starter jacket. And finally, the number 1 on the What top 6 clothing trends to come out of the 90s. It's Jordan, man. Of course it's Jordan. You know I'm a sneakerhead. Jordan and his sneakers and Nike changed the sneaker game forever. Forever. We all know this. Interestingly enough, I never owned a pair of Jordans, and I still haven't. I've never owned a pair. I'm gonna get me some. I have some that I liked. I didn't have it like that back then. And one day I'll do a top 6 of the shoes, of my favorite shoes from the 90s, right? And that may be part of I think we'll see how we do that. But I've never owned a pair of Jordans. I definitely love them. There's some that I really do like. But the Jordan brand changed everything from sneakers, and now it's its own brand. Whether it's a sports team that's wearing their clothing or whatever. But Jordan changed the game when it comes to sneakers. For that, I appreciate it. So I'm going to make that my number 1. So tell me what you think. If you were a kid of the 90s, or whatever your time was, what are the top trends that came out of there for you? I'd love to hear other ideas you had that you appreciated from the 90s, clothing trend wise. Hit me up on the email, whutpod, WHUTpod @gmail.com. Feel free to tag me up in the Instagram with a photo of something that you thought was coming from the 90s, but let's hear it. I want to hear some more. Let me know what's going on, right? And that brings us to the end of the podcast. Still trying to figure out the length of the podcast these days, but I think we're going to be doing guests pretty soon. I think I got a couple of guests lined up. As interesting as I think I might be, I think this might be better with guests. And I think what I'm looking to do is kind of have a special guest every pod or every couple of pods. It's going to come in and give me their own top 6. We'll talk about our top 6s as we go through, and then have everybody comment on whatever else we're talking about. So if you want to be a guest on the What podcast, you never know where this is going to go. This is going a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. I'd love it to be even better. So please pass the word to your friends, to your colleagues. Share this if you will. Keep listening. Please don't not listen. They're not going to be long. It's good to connect with people, and I hope that you're enjoying this. But if you want to be a guest, hit me up. Shoot me an email, whutpod@gmail.com, WHUTPOD @gmail.com. And we will work out what we need to do to make you a guest. Everything's virtual now. We'll zoom it in or whatever we got to do. Love to have you on to talk about something. You get to pick what the top 6 will be. I'll give you some ideas if I need to, but you get to pick, and that's the top 6 that we will do together at the end of every podcast. And if you come with a recipe or a shoe you want to talk about, or a book that you're reading, or a show or movie that you're watching, or something that you're collecting, we'll talk about that too. So I'm looking for guests. I think I got a couple already lined up, but hopefully this thing takes off and we'll be looking for more, right? If you need a sponsor, or you want a sponsor, or you want me to read an ad about your business, I'll do it. I know I got lots of friends out there that are aspiring business people that are doing their online businesses. I'd love to read your ad. I might even do it for free for a little while, just for some follows and some likes on the podcast. So those of you that are out there with your small businesses, hit me up. Let me know. Send me a script or something about your business, and I'll try out reading it. I'd love to do some ads on here for sure. And again, I'll do it on the cheap to start off with. We don't have that many listeners, but we're trying to get some more for sure, right? So hit me up. Check the Instagram, right? Remember, at WhutPod, at WHUTPOD. Check out the pictures from today's episode, some of the things that we talked about. Tag me, follow me, all that fun stuff. Hit me up on the email with your top 6 or whatever suggestions you got, any feedback. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Let me know, right? And as usual, we will end today with the final question, if you will. And today, it is nighttime for me. The questions, last week's question shook some people. Last episode's question shook some people. I asked, is Bingo the dog or the farmer? Right? And people were telling me they had to really stop and think about it, because when you understand English and start questioning, it's like, I don't know. Is it Farmer Bingo or is the dog named Bingo? You don't really know, right? I, for one, just to be different, now like to think that it's Farmer Bingo, because I think that's a funnier song than the dog being Bingo. So now for me, it's Farmer Bingo, and the dog doesn't have a name. So there. So this week, new question that I would love you to answer for me, either on the gram or send me an email so we can talk about it next week. And the question is this: is cereal soup? That's right. Soak it in for a second and think about it. Is cereal soup? And that's the pod for the day. Thank you for listening to the What the What podcast as usual. I appreciate you so much. Please like it, subscribe, download, share it, spread the word. Let people know that I'm on here. We're having a little bit of fun, and I'm hoping they just get better. And I need you to make that happen. So this has been the What the What podcast, the podcast about nothing, but also about all the things. As always, enjoy yourself. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for listening.